Yeah, on the deck actually.
Nice. So guys, this is, oh wow. Guys, this is my friend Anne, who we've been friends for a few years now. And I was telling everybody before you got on here, I started doing wine chats with vineyard people to get a break from being cooped up inside. But everybody's been outside today, luckily, because it's been so nice. And even though you're not officially a wine person anymore, you got me into loving Bergerac. And so it counts. And this is just a friendship chat. Anyways, hey, OCL. But this is Anne now. She's in New Caledonia. So introduce yourself, Anne. Tell everybody what you do and how you got into Bergerac and what you did in France and how you got to New Caledonia.
Well, yeah, sure. I can go on the wine background. I worked for the Bergerac in wine council for 5 years. So that was from 2012 till the end of 2016. And that's when I met Jeff, because I was in charge of the promotion of wines of Bergerac, of all the 30 appellations there. AOC.
30? Wow.
13.
Oh, 13. Okay, that's more like it. Okay. I was like, wait, 30?
Oh, Bergerac, red, rosé, white, Montbazillac, Saussignac. Can I remember everything? Rosette, Pécharmant, Moravel, the 3 of Moravel. Yeah, that's 13.
Yeah. And then does Duras make 14?
Yeah.
That was just as you were leaving?
Because, we count AOC, red, rosé, white.
Oh, right.
It duplicates the figures. So yeah, I was in charge of the promotion of these appellations. So I traveled around a lot, and I was in contact with people like Jeff, who could be influencers, who could be interested in knowing more about this very unknown region, but very precious for us. The wine growers there, I think, fight very hard for the recognition and to make just good wines that you can enjoy anytime. So I traveled around to China, Canada, Japan, the US, trying to bring this knowledge of this small wine region to all the people who could be interested in it. And then I got tired of the wine world at some point, and I took a plane, traveled 22,000 kilometers southeast, and here.
So you have lived in New Caledonia before, right?
Yes, I partially grew up here. I'm a child of New Caledonia.
That's incredible. And what do you do now there? Tell everybody what you do now.
Now I am in charge of the communication for the Observatory of the Environment in New Caledonia.
Wait, can you repeat that? There was a data surge or something. Say it again.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in charge of the communications information department for the Observatory of the Environment in New Caledonia.
And so is it mostly in French? Because that radio program you sent the video of is in French, but you're speaking much English these days?
Not really. That's why I was kind of stressed out. I'm always afraid of my English. I don't get that opportunity to speak English professionally here. But it's starting to change, because we are about to, well, before the coronavirus and lockdowns and etc., we were about to host in New Caledonia a big event, an international event on biodiversity that was about to gather governments of all the 40-ish states, insular states of the South Pacific. It's kind of a local United Nations, regional United Nations that gather all the states of the Pacific. They were about to start preparing here in Noumea the next conference of parties on biological diversity that was supposed to take place in China at the end of the year. So these are the guys who try and draw a strategy of conservation and how to not really fight but adapt facing climate change, because these countries are islands, most of the time states composed of several very small islands, and they're in the front line when it comes to climate change and sea level rising and that stuff. So we're very, very concerned here in the Pacific on the consequences of everything. You know.
And it's more concerned with sea level rising over there, or hurricanes and storms?
Well,
it's more sea level.
That.
Yeah.
There's a hurricane right now that is about to hit Vanuatu. That is our.
Yeah, you know, remember my friend in Vanuatu? She's back in Australia now.
Well, she got bushfires.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And so yeah, we were checking that. We're kind of weather geeks here, because every time you see the wind starting to go around, you really survey that very, very carefully, hour after hour. And this one is a big one, and it could have come on New Caledonia, but it turned around. And
now, when you say you monitor it, you monitor it. You monitor it on the internet, or you can see things. I'm not sure I understand what you say.
I do that very well.
Who? Say it again.
There are great websites that do that very well, that actually treat the data from satellites, Japanese and American satellites. We do that a lot in my job too. We use a lot of these open data. And anyone who knows a little bit how to deal with this technical stuff can use data from NASA satellites and the Japan Space Agency satellites and the European Agency satellites. And we do that a lot. We built a tool in my office to monitor bushfire consequences. Environment, and we use data from the US, the European programs, and Japan, and it doesn't cost anything but the time you're going to spend on getting the data and working on it and exploiting.
My friend Marquita joined since you explained where you are. Can you explain where New Caledonia is, and also what are the other states that would have joined for that conference that just was canceled? Hey, Gabriella, she just joined too.
Well, New Caledonia is a French territory that is has a special status because about 30 years ago it entered in a process that is supposed to lead it to independence. So it has its own government, but it's still very linked to the French government too. It's and in terms of geography, it's northeast of Australia. We're about, it's a 2-hour flight to reach Brisbane. It's a 2-hour flight to reach New Zealand. We're fully north from New Zealand. So we're in that part of the world.
Far in the middle of nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, but yeah, we're cool. we feel quite all right being far from everything.
How big is it? How many people live there, and how many people live there, and how long would it take to drive across the island?
So it's composed of several islands. The main one, called La Grande Terre, is about 600 kilometers long and 40 to 60 kilometers wide. It's and then there are three main islands called the Loyalty Islands, that are smaller, way smaller. Still quite big, because one of them, called Lifou, is as big as La Martinique, for example.
Oh,
But there's like, I don't know how many people live in La Martinique, but it's probably something like several hundreds of thousands, and in Lifou there are like 20,000. That's a specificity here. We're not numerous on a big territory.
I see.
So it's about 275,000 people in total living in New Caledonia.
Okay. Wow.
Which is a lot. And I believe the main island is as long as Portugal.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's fairly big and spread out for that many people.
And there's mainly a mountain chain that goes north to the south, this main Long Island that we live in. And the capital, the main city, Noumea, where I live, is where about 180,000 of the people live, and most of the population is gathered in Noumea, because the jobs are. It's situated southwest, and it's a small. How do you say when it's not an island, but almost? Une presqu'île in
like
French.
a peninsula? A peninsula?
Yeah.
I'm just typing in here. What is the industry there? What is the economy built on?
Mainly, that's why the environmental questions are so important. It's mainly built on mining.
On what?
Mining.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's nickel mining that supports.
And
So,
go ahead.
So it started in the 19th century. That's the colonization of European countries. Wherever they went, it was to look for resources, whether it was gold or food stuff like cocoa and coffee, or that they discovered in Central and South America, or whatever. So it really was this state of mind that the explorers would go around, discover places. If they were the first ones to get there, declare it was theirs, and take whatever they could take from it. So that's what resulted in now having this nickel mining economy based in a country like New Caledonia. So I've been hearing for like 30 years now that we were working on trying to find another way to have the economy live out of this mining sector, but and especially developing tourism, because there's like 100,000 tourists a year that come to New Caledonia.
Wow.
And it hasn't changed in 30 years, so it doesn't really develop because it's far expensive. One airline coming here,
Yeah.
so it's hard to develop. But Tahiti could do it, so I mean, maybe we're not.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, it's not for. I don't think Americans are going to go there, but you have all of Asia and Australia. Why not?
Absolutely.
How is the quarantine? Because I kind of thought you guys would be okay because you're so far away from everything. Did you go in quarantine the same as France, or you guys did your own thing?
A few days later, we started they locked us down actually on Monday, the 23rd of March at night. So that's almost 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And France started like 5 or 6 days before that.
Oh.
But we were locked down as soon as there was a first case diagnostic
Really?
here.
But you still have to get ships bring your food and supply. I mean, everything comes over a boat, so it still comes through, right?
It still works. Merchandise is okay. People panicked here because during big hurricane periods, there has been experiences before here of lacking food because New Caledonia produces like 14% of what people eat. So we import 86% of what we eat.
Wow.
So we're not independent in that way. We need ships to bring merchandise.
But is there a culture of stocking up for when hurricanes come, that you know you're not going to have a boat for a week or something?
Yeah, well, not as much as when I was a kid, but we stocked water because that's the one thing that could break. Pipes could break. So try and have water for several days. But now, I mean, 2 weeks ago when they started, when the whole virus thing started big, and we were starting to talk about locking down people got crazy in the shops, in the stores.
Really?
They got, like everywhere else in the world, I guess, people were stocking crazy quantities of toilet paper, pasta, rice, tomato sauce, eggs.
Yeah.
So irrational. I didn't do that because I'm not really a good planner, and I always thought that there would be merchandise afterwards. But yeah, we've got way too much food actually now in houses. It's gonna take months.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you talking to your mom and Shupi?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're doing fine. So she's my sister who lives in France. I've got 3 siblings. So 2 of them are living in France, and one of them is here with pregnant. And
Oh, congratulations.
yeah, she's due mid-July, and we hoped the parents would be able to come, but it's becoming more and more.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know even if we have very, very small number of cases here. We have like 17 people who were tested positive. They're still not really sure how the virus circulated among the population because they didn't close the borders very, very early.
Yeah.
But now there are no passengers. No one is coming in or out.
Really?
Yeah, and I think that's something that's gonna last. I mean, maybe even if at some point they feel it's safe enough for us to start again, live normally, go to work inside the island, they will probably keep the borders closed for a long time.
Wow. But boats and stuff will still come through. So that's mainly the airport?
Mm?
It's mainly the airport, since the boats still come and go for supplies?
Well, you know, the airport is closed, but it still gets freight planes.
Oh, right.
And medical material planes.
That's true. Okay.
And the port also is adapted. For what I've read and heard, I think it's just they're very careful to let the sailors, people on the ships, stay on the ships. They don't get down.
That's got to be hard. What was I going to ask you? I can't remember. It'll come to me. But you're doing okay? You seem in good spirits. And what?
We could get wine. Do we drink wine here? The answer is yes.
Yeah, I know you. I know you do. Well, in Chateau Chateau Castera came there, so I know there's a wine culture there. But it's 10:17 in the morning there, right? So you're still on your coffee.
Absolutely.
And that's early for you. Are you getting up at your regular work hours, or are you slipping back to Pila time?
No. It's actually a country where you get up pretty early. The sun goes down pretty early and it goes up pretty early, like at 5 in the morning. So I don't get up at 5 in the morning, but I can easily be up at 6, 7. Depends.
I've been getting up at 6 in the morning and going to bed
Today
early.
Sunday, so I got up at 7-ish.
For those of you that, well, you don't know Anne, but when I would visit her and stay at her house, we would have, what we have, tea punch at like 8 o'clock or 6 o'clock. When does it start? Sometimes 4 o'clock, I think. We would start.
That's at, yeah, well, 6, 7 o'clock is
You go to
good.
I think go to the beach at 4 for a quick layout in the sand and then come back for 6. So we'd have cocktails at 6 and then hang out and have tea punch, which I didn't bring any rum to Connecticut.
To wait for dinner to be ready, and that could take hours.
Which cracks me up. It always cracks me up. It's like, oh, the grill's going to get lit at 10 o'clock. Okay. So we always are up until at least 2 in the morning. And many time I've been like, oh, I guess I'll just stay over.
Yep. Exactly. That was safer.
Yeah. But much appreciated and much fun too.
Yeah.
Ah, those days. I think it's gonna be a while before I can go back to France. I'm really glad I was there in August, though. You know, I couldn't really afford it, and I was like, I'm just gonna go. And now I'm really glad that I did, because it's gonna be a while.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But
we all are thinking like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's gonna be a weird year.
God, they don't have the same value now.
Yeah.
What I would say, because I'm always trying to get back to wine-related stuff, because I know your audience really is expecting wine stuff. There's something I was thinking about. Like, I was thinking maybe you'd go like, why after 10 years in the wine industry did you stop that? Did you cut that off from your life? And so it was an interesting thing to try and find an answer to this question. It's that I feel like I was an imposter in the wine world. Like I really like wine and I like tasting it, and I learned how to taste pretty okay, and I learned how to talk about it, and I learned a lot about the people who make it, but I was surrounded by people whose life revolved around wine and vines, and that was the only thing that counted. And you could have dinner with all of the people surrounding me without having to analyze each bottle that you got, each bottle that you tasted. And I only just liked drinking wine with my meal, and I really didn't care if it smelled like grapefruit or raspberries or whatever.
Right.
I just wanted to be able to say that I liked that or that I didn't like, and that was the only criteria for me that would define a good or not less good wine. And that's something that I tried to explain to people for 10 years. I communicated to the greater public, who were scared, actually. I remember I had this experience mostly in Canada, but also elsewhere, of people coming in and saying, I don't know anything about wine. I wouldn't be able to tell you what I want, what I like. I don't know. I don't like. So I don't know because I don't know. And I was like, you don't have to know. I don't know when we have done this extraordinary thing of making wine complicated for everyone, while it was like bread in France. It was a product that everyone would make in the countryside and everyone would drink at every meal, and it was something really, it wasn't something complicated, and now it's become something very elitist.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because people, it's like you're allowed to have a opinion about steak, whether you're a chef or not, but you're not allowed to have an opinion about wine. It's
yeah, exactly. And so I try to explain people, well, okay, you don't know anything about it, and you say you don't like wine because you don't know wine, but please have a sip of this and taste it and tell me, do you like the taste of it in your mouth? Do you enjoy this? The aroma? What you feel? They're like, yeah, sure. Well then, you know wine. You only you know you can say if you like it or not. That's the only thing you can do.
Yeah. But
the whole world. And I was more interested actually in the people. In the people who made the wines and in the people who would, in the end, taste their wines, spend a nice time gathering around a bottle, than the product itself. And that's the main difference between me and the rest of the wine world that I was surrounded with.
Well, you work so closely with the producers who live and breathe it and have different feeling about it and really taste. I mean, just to make your blend, you taste so much. And so they're just tasting all the time. It's a whole other level of it. But I think, and Gabriella, you tell me too, I think we all feel like we're imposters. And then you start to say, you start to feel, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. And then you hear yourself talking. You're like, oh, maybe I know something. And I'm kind of at that point now, and I'm sure you're the same way.
Yeah.
But you don't think about wine culture in the Pacific. And like if someone's in other Pacific islands, is it a wine drinking culture? Because New Zealand definitely is and Australia is. But you guys are a French, what's the word? Not colony, but a French protectorate.
Yeah,
It
used to be a colony. I mean, we're the result of a colony. Yeah.
And so you do drink wine there more so than the rest of the Pacific, or how does that work?
That's a good question. I don't know the figures, and I don't have the wine stats.
But like Jean-Pierre from Chateau Castera came there, and so there is clearly a wine culture that France, it's worth their while to come there.
Because as a French colony, all the French people who settled down here started building businesses of imports, and it's a country of monopoly. So there was the family that imported food, the family that imported wines and alcohol, the family that imported tobacco, and they're now all the descendants of these merchants, very rich, very wealthy families here.
Yeah, I bet.
And still present, but now there's more. I wouldn't say the process isn't finished. There's more competition, more players in the game. So now,
really,
I remember 20 years ago I don't remember where my parents would buy wine, but I think there was like only one or two shops, and now Noumea is filled with wineries. With wine stores, wine shops. And it's there's one at every corner. It's pretty expensive. We're far from everything. So I find now Southwest wines, because some of these can import directly from producers. That's also a recent evolution. And I found Grande Maison. Do you remember that vineyard in Montbazillac?
Yeah.
Grande Maison. There's also a Southwest Bordenave. You know Gisèle Bordenave and what she does in Jurançon?
I don't think
great.
so.
Well, that's
I love Jurançon though.
Later, because she's amazing. She does exceptional stuff. I love women who take after their fathers and brothers and decide whatever they want to do.
What's the domain in Jurançon?
Bordenave, Domaine Bordenave, and her name is Gisèle Bordenave. I'll send you the intel if you want. And I find her wines here, and it's amazing. There's this dry white called Encore et Encore. It's so named. I mean, you always want more. It's Encore et Encore.
It's what?
Yeah, no, I was saying about Giselle's wines, the Bordeaux from Jurançon wines. She does a dry white that is amazing. That is called,
I found
yeah,
it.
that's
Yeah.
and one of the dry whites is called Encore et Encore, means more and more, and it's
Oh,
so well. I mean, that's something you want some more every time you finish your glass.
what is what when you were in Bergerac? Would you be able to find a Jurançon wine in Bergerac and vice versa? Because it's you do find stuff in Bordeaux much more now. So, but I think even 10 years ago it was very different. You would only find the local stuff.
No, yeah, there were. It's actually it really depends on the place you go to. But I remember the cellar downtown Bergerac that uh, it was actually both a wine store and a place where you could eat tapas and have a little bite to eat and
Mm-hmm.
buy your bottles with your food and stay there or just go with your bottles.
Okay.
He sold wines from everywhere, from
Oh,
all
okay.
around.
There's a few
Yeah,
people that joined. Hi, Nicole, and is that Gabriella at Macari? Gabriella, I need to talk to you about doing one of these chats. I have been doing Vineyard Chats to give people in New York a chance to get outside virtually. And Anne is a dear friend of mine who is in New Caledonia now. And God, look at she's in the fucking jungle. Anne is in New Caledonia and used to be the communications director for the Wine Council of Bergerac, where we met. And I just saw her last summer in Bergerac, and she's the friend that I visit in Arcachon and Pila. And because she's 9 hours behind us, it's 10:30 in the morning in New Caledonia, and we were trying to find a time to chat because she works.
I'm actually 15 hours ahead of you.
Oh, officially,
It's
yeah.
Sunday.
Okay, that's too much for my brain to think. I have to think hours. So is it Sunday morning there?
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay, you're 15 hours ahead. Wow. See, I have you on my watch. I have you on my watch to show me the actual time, but I can't get it in the right day ever. So you did say it was Sunday there. Nicole, you're not late. I'm thrilled you're here. What's your, Gabriella is asking, she said it's beautiful there. Is it the end of summer? Like we're in spring, so you are what, season-wise?
And but the flora is always flourishing. It's always green. It's actually there's no really winter or summer. There's a hot season and a colder season.
Okay.
Cold,
Yeah, that's still
meaning
bikini weather, right? Yeah.
it's but yeah, it is the end of the hot season and we're fully into the wet season. So it's not obviously, but it's when it rains a little bit more. Um, and yeah, no, I was showing the jungle because I really love the biodiversity. The gardens is amazing. There's like 85% of the flora here is endemic. Plants that we have here don't exist anywhere. We're a hotspot
Really?
of diversity. It's one of the 35 world hotspots of biodiversity in New Caledonia, and it means that we have exceptional endemicism rate, and that it's threatened, and that we have to protect it.
And that's why you have your job.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to let you go because I'm trying to keep these at 30 minutes because otherwise it's too much chopping up. But it's really nice to see your face. We have to do this more often, but privately on FaceTime so we can gossip a little bit more. I have to talk to you about Bergerac. And I need some advice. But I miss you so much. And I got to send the video from Caroline Paramount to your mom.
No, we
And
can't export plants, Gabrielle. I'm sorry, I saw the question.
you can't export. Is that what you said? You cannot? No, I didn't think so. Well, you take care of yourself and stay stocked up on pasta and food. So if the ships don't get through, or I think you're going to be okay. But and I'm fine in Connecticut, so no worries. But it's really, really good to see your face.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye, honey.